From Michael Jordan to Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaquille O'Neal, the NBA has always been a star-driven league. And throughout NBA history, fans of the game have been fortunate to see some of the NBA's top stars team up together. Typically, it's resulted in some of the most dominant basketball in the history of the league, multiple championships, MVP awards, and loads of regular season success. These are the top 5 duos in NBA history. 5. Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Bird and McHale spent a lifetime together in Boston, 12 years to be exact. And over more than a decade in the green and white, Bird and McHale teamed up to win 3 titles together in the 1980s. Bird's stat line over those 12 seasons was ridiculous. He averaged 24.5 points, 10 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block per game. McHale's wasn't too shabby either. He averaged 18.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, and was more than happy to take a back seat to Bird's heroics. But don't discount McHale's role on these all-time Celtics squads. He had to bang inside with much bigger and stronger centers who could run faster and jump higher than him. But he still held his own. He had some of the best footwork and one of the best up-and-under moves in NBA history. And then there was Bird, who brought a level of artistry to the game that few had before him. Bird was a magician on the court, who's one of the game's all-time passers. His ball fake shooting and overall on-court savvy made him one of the NBA's most potent and prolific offensive weapons of all time. McHale, along with Bird's teammates, fell in line behind their leader and played some of the most unselfish and beautiful basketball that the league has ever seen. A bad back robbed Bird of a longer career than the 13 years he spent in the league. But while Larry Legend did play, he and McHale formed an all-time dominant duo. 4. LeBron James and DWade. When LeBron James joined DWade in South Beach in 2010, there were plenty of questions about how the two ball-dominant all-stars would fit together. And as many pundits predicted, James and Wade's start in Miami was rocky. The duo went 9-8 over their first 17 games together. But as is the case when top talent teams up, they quickly figured out how to get the best out of one another. James and Wade won 2 championships in Miami in 2012 and 2013, and led by James, produced one of the more dominant 2-year runs in league history. James was at the peak of his powers during the Heat's 4 consecutive finals appearances. James peaked athletically and also developed an unstoppable postgame in Miami, which made the Heat's offensive attack virtually unstoppable. He averaged 27 points, 7.5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals, with a whopping 62 true shooting percentage alongside Wade, who proved to be a perfectly capable second banana. Wade was also a defensive ace in Miami, averaging more than a block and nearly 2 steals per game. While playing with James over those memorable 4 years, James and Wade were an all-time great duo, but those 4 years went awfully quick. 3. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant are among the top NBA duo of all time, but they also come with the biggest what if. What if Kobe and Shaq stayed together after the duo led the Lakers to a 3rd straight championship in 2002? Shaq was 30 at the time and nearing the downside of a Hall of Fame run, but was still a dominant force in the paint, who went on to win another ring in Miami before his storied career finished. Kobe was just 23 and went on to win 2 more championships with the Lakers once Shaq had long moved on. How many more rings would this dominant duo have won if they had just put their differences aside and stuck it out? Maybe more than the 6 that Jordan and Pippen won as teammates. Perhaps more than the 5 that Magic and Kareem captured together. We'll never know. During Kobe and Shaq's 8 seasons together, Shaq led the league in win shares, captured 1 MVP award, was named Finals MVP in all 3 of their championship appearances, and averaged a Goliath-like 29.5 points and 14.5 rebounds in the playoff from 2000 to 2002. No one could stop the diesel on the block. He was too tall, too strong, and too powerful for any defender who tried to body him on the block. Kobe was young and still had a lofty ceiling as a player to grow into, but finished 7th in win shares during that time, and averaged 25 points and 5 assists in the postseason, while teamed with Shaq. Kobe and Shaq are arguably the most popular duo in NBA history, and one of the greatest as well. 2. Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For 10 seasons, Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar raced up and down that hardwood at the Forum, creating and then popularizing Showtime basketball. During Magic and Kareem's decade as teammates in Hollywood, they won 5 championships and combined for 3 MVP awards. Magic won 2 and Kareem won 1. While Magic was the frontman of the Showtime Lakers and the engineer of their revolutionary fast break offense, Kareem was the reliable interior presence that the Lakers couldn't have won nearly as many games as they did without. Kareem possessed the most unstoppable shot in NBA history, the skyhook, and he and Magic formed an inside-outside duo that was unlike anything the league had seen at the time. Their individual statistics were right in line with other top duos in NBA history, too. Magic averaged 19.5 points, 11 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game, alongside Kareem, who averaged 20.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks per contest as Magic's running mate. Magic and Kareem didn't have to do all the heavy lifting alone, and had some help. Hall of Famer James Worthy and Michael Cooper filled in the gaps around the Lakers duo. But their dynasty wouldn't have had the longevity that it enjoyed if Magic and Kareem hadn't been able to effortlessly take over games like they did. 1. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Talk about dominance. The 90s Bulls were the most dominant team in NBA history, and leading the charge was the best two-man duo that the league has ever seen. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Jordan and Pippen were teammates for 10 seasons, from 1987 through 1998. Jordan, of course, spent the 1993-94 season playing baseball, and during their time in Chicago, the Bulls won 6 championships and never lost in the finals. Think about that. Chicago went to 6 NBA finals with Jordan and Pippen and never lost. No other top duo can say that. Rings aside, the Bulls had the NBA's best regular season winning percentage over those 11 seasons, and averaged over 58 wins per year with Jordan and Pippen. But that's what Jordan and Pippen did. They were the ultimate winners. Jordan averaged 33 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists in the playoffs, alongside Pippen, who was no offensive slouch either. Scottie himself averaged 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, to go with 2 steals and 1 block in the postseason. Jordan even admits that he wouldn't have had the playoff success that he did without his sidekick, who usually defended the opposing team's best scorer. Pippen is arguably the best perimeter defender of all time, and alongside the greatest player of all time, formed a duo that no team had an answer for. Honorable mentions: Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant were only together for 3 years, but they made the most of their brief partnership. Together, they teamed up to win 2 championships in 3 straight trips to the finals, from 2017 to 19. The Warriors assembled what many call the greatest team ever, with Curry and Durant flanked by Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, 2 likely Hall of Famers in their own right. Bill Russell and Bob Cousy. Russell and Cousy spent 7 seasons as teammates with the Celtics. Together, they won big, taking home 6 championships in 7 years, an unprecedented run for any duo in NBA history. Russell, the game's top player at the time, captured 4 MVP awards, while Cousy captured 1 of his own during their time as teammates. John Stockton and Karl Malone. The legendary Stockton-Malone pick-and-roll duo is arguably the greatest 2-man pairing in NBA history, and the duo was able to develop a rare on-court chemistry over the 18 seasons they spent together in Utah. During Stockton and Malone's time as teammates, Malone led the NBA in total points, while Stockton's 15,391 total assists were more than 3rd-place Rod Strickland and 4th-place Gary Payton combined. However, a championship forever eluded them.